Hi guys, my name is Support Pets Farmer 21927, and today I'll be talking about prestige whoring and why you should ditch it. So, I got inspired for this topic by a YouTube video from this other YouTuber called Bagpipe. I'll just flash the thumbnail right now. And it really got me thinking, like, this is something that has been like quite close to my heart for a long time. Um, and is one of the inevitable phases that most overachievers or just regular achievers will go through. It's a rite of passage, and there are some lessons along the way. I would argue that actually most people in SG's education system, they are prestige whores, other than the very minute few who like success always seems to be out of reach for them. Then they're not prestige whores because they haven't gotten any sense of prestige. But for the rest, I feel like a lot of students in Singapore or in America, in highly competitive pressure cooker environments, they are prestige whores. Obviously, I'm not gonna use the term prestige whores in the title, right? Because I don't want to get shadow banned. But not like it'll make a difference, right? My videos average like fucking like 30 views. But it's fine, as long as I can help one person, I consider my time, well spent. So what is this term prestige whoring, right? Is what it sounds like. So these people, they're willing to spread their legs as wide as possible in order to get, any form of prestige, and they hold on to that prestige like it's their fucking life. So typically prestige whores, they're born from like a never again moment, like failing a class or being broke or getting rejected, etc., etc. And then this type of immense failure and disappointment then triggers them to think, I'm never gonna let this happen to me ever again, I promise. And so after that, they start chasing elite titles, as a way to escape their past shame and prove the doubters wrong. So this could be, winning competitions, Ivy League acceptances, six-figure salary, a perfect physique. And this is like the higher echelon of elite titles. Elite means different for, different people. So that's what elite means to me. But, what elite means for you could, be maybe as simple as getting your desired course in local uni, maybe getting NUS dentistry or something. And no one's elite is right or wrong, right? It's all subjective. But the thing is that when you start chasing what you see as elite just to escape your past shame, suddenly that obsession becomes not only your most powerful motivator but almost like a weapon. I'll talk more about that later. By the way, this is all just me recapping what the other YouTuber said in his video in like a more relatable, reframing, and then afterwards I'm gonna add on a bit about my own personal thoughts. So the issue is that these prestige whores, they will inevitably fall into the trap that they can't stop they can't stop chasing prestige, because the same obsession that causes them pain is also what fuels success. Okay, why do I say that the obsession causes them pain? Well, because like you know prestige whores love the thing that they love is like they love to pride themselves on hard work, right? The amount of hours they put into study, the amount of time they spend grinding for their business, right? But what they fail to see is that hard work does not guarantee results. Like, this life is not that simple and straightforward. bad luck exists, tough luck exists. Sometimes your hard work just still isn't up to standard. You could sacrifice everything and still fall short. That's what these guys don't understand. They could sacrifice everything and still fall short, but they still believe that, in giving it their all to achieve their goal. They're extremely driven, but they're like instantly devastated by any sort of like rejection or failure. Because to them, right, like, you know, they they're chasing these titles. They remember the trauma of like failing in whatever facet of life, and then they just they made this mental decision that they are going to sacrifice everything to gain these titles. Then what happens when they don't gain these titles? Maybe due to bad luck, to they are like in a wreck, and it could be like the smallest rejection. It'll just completely derail them, their mindset, everything. This is gone out the window. It's like straight depression. Um, like letting go for them, letting go of the prestige feels like guaranteeing that they'll fall even shorter of their goals. Because that's all they've ever known, right? To them, hard work, put in the work, keep grinding, getting prestige will solve all their problems. So how can they let go of the prestige, right? I want to use another analogy. Like if you go to the gym, right, you'll know, and you've been on like gym talk social media, you'll know about like the forbidden pre, right? Some cringy ass gym bros, especially like when most people start, they'll try to use you know the past trauma, like for example, you know their ex breaking up with them, or a loss of a close one, close family member or something. They'll use that and they'll keep thinking about it during their workout to try and like fuel their workouts. But to like, you're just hurting yourself. What's the fucking point? You're not even having a good workout. You're just making yourself mad and sad. Like it's so stupid. And only after you mature as a gym bro, you realize like that type of shit is totally unnecessary and counterintuitive. And so it's the same idea here, right? The prestige really, using prestige as a motivator really is so harmful. But especially in societies like ours, right, Singapore, where we place such a big emphasis on prestige. And when I say emphasis, by the way, it's like a societal thing. Like if we all collectively agreed that we didn't care about prestige, dude, like then it wouldn't matter, obviously. But then the issue is that for some reason everyone loves sucking each other's dick for prestige, and it's kind of annoying, honestly. So what's the solution? Why how do we stop prestige whoring? um I used to be a prestige whore, I'm not gonna lie. I think I developed this sort of mindset when I first started getting like, my first few quote unquote like victories or wins. you know um these are probably a few months after I've started like really trying, really having that burst of motivation to fix my life. And then once I start seeing a little bit of success, I cling to that success, like it's my life. And I get super duper attached to the prestige of the success. So how did I get over it? Well, you get over it with time and maturing. That's one. But um, a more direct way of how I got over it and how you should get over yours is letting go of the results, accepting your vulnerability, and building faith. What do I mean by this? So here's another analogy. Like if you've played any sort of role playing games or like MMORPGs, you'll know that there's different like builds that you can select, basically stats for your character. So when you are a prestige whore, you're basically running like the thief build, and the thief build is basically you have no armor, so you're super duper weak, like probably one shot from a high level monster will kill you, but then you have like the max weapons, so it's all weapons, all firepower, but no armor. Rather than that, I encourage you to change to a paladin build. Now what does a paladin build mean? Paladin build means like you not only have armor, strong armor, but you also have decent healing and a decent weapon. So what I'm trying to say is you can't let yourself be derailed by just a little bit of failure lah. Most people haven't tried enough things in their life. This is something that I always tell people when I give advice to them is you probably haven't tried enough things, you probably haven't experienced enough failure. But once people do step out of their comfort zone inevitably and experience their first couple rounds of failure, wow, then they start to realize whether they are a prestige whore or not. Most of the time they are lah. You wanna make yourself resistant to these results which are affected by all sorts of random variables by accepting your vulnerability, right? You're just human. Accept that, accept your weaknesses, you know get to know yourself better, understand what are areas where you still fall short in, what are areas that are out of your control, and understand that you're not as invincible as you think you are. Your hard work will not save you, right? When it's your time to fail, you will fail, and this is something that you must understand. Secondly, also build faith, right? So what is faith? Faith is the ability to pick yourself back up and keep going despite unfairness and failure. Yeah, take a while to digest that. It's a skill that requires training, it's built through repeated experiences with setbacks. So you will have to fail a lot of times, but with each failure, you will realize slowly that your ability, your mindset, how you carry on after experiencing said failure, how you're able to pick yourself back up and run at the wall one more time, and again and again and again. You start to realize that the results don't really matter, seriously. And that journey of building faith is legit the most important part. And you will see that once you build your faith and you accept your vulnerability, the results will never matter to you, and they would never have mattered in the first place. Modern life, like admissions, college admissions, jobs, businesses, it's more random than ever. So resilience matters so much more than perfectionism. I always like struggle to explain the randomness of current like competitive college admissions to the older generation, like my parents or other people's parents, because in their time MIT was like a 20% acceptance rate, you know and the unis weren't particularly competitive because most people were poor. But now it's like freaking low single digit acceptance rates, and then I have to try to explain to them like your kid might have 1600 SAT, the perfect grades, perfect extracurriculars, be an absolute genius, and he still won't get into Harvard, right? That's life. And so now I'll talk a bit more about like my personal experiences. I've learned that everyone wants to be validated, honestly, to some extent. I've embarked on learning tons and tons of different things, and having my work validated, the hard work, the cold blood, sweat, and tears that I put in, having that validated is legit one of the highest highs I've ever experienced. The amount of dopamine that like gets injected into your brain at a sustained rate is actually insane. But across all the skills that I ended up being good at. The first failure in my eyes is always super sad. Every single time, no matter what, the first failure it always sucks. But over time and many failures, I gain more and more confidence in my own abilities. Accept that you are vulnerable. One injury can force the best athletes into retirement. You know, this might hit close to you, but cancer legit could strike at any moment and take the lives of you or any one of your close ones. Our lives are infinitely more fragile than you imagine, and so it's fine to take pride in our achievements, but what I encourage you to be most proud of is your mindset and the deeper lessons and growth that you've experienced along your journey, right? Once I realized that it's not about the outcome and about the journey, like I almost instantly like lost my fear of failure, and that's what unlocked my worldview infinitely. I'm not particularly scared of failure anymore because I know that failure is the bitterness that makes everything that much sweeter, and failure is the rite of passage to success. I know deep in my soul that no failure will ever define me because I'll never give up on something that I truly, truly believe in. Right, this is easy for me to say, right? It's easy to accept as just a piece of advice, but I hope you reflect on this deeply. You know, how attached are you still to the results? If you don't feel anything after what I've just told you or asked you, you legit need to do some deeper reflection, because those who know, like me, they know, right? They resonate with it deeply. Many religious people, they say that they have absolute faith in their Lord or God, but this doesn't have anything to do with that. Learning to have faith in yourself doesn't mean that you reject God. I mean, there's a difference in it. There's a difference between arrogant self-sufficiency and humble self-trust. Being at peace with yourself, learning how to lean on faith and trust instead of superficial results in a superficial world and outcomes is the best thing that you can do for yourself, honestly. I promise you, like, you will not be able to achieve anything great outside your comfort zone without it. It's almost a superpower in itself, not having a fear of failure and having faith in yourself. I can tell you, like, I swear on everything I love and care about, I'm not emotionally invested like in my uni results, even though I'm applying to the most prestigious Harvard, Yale, Stanford, MIT, Princeton, and whatnot. And by the way, I'm not just recording this video as cope. If you've seen my last video, then you would know that I was rejected from CMU and MIT. But I actually wrote this script on the plane a few days before I even opened those results. So, you know, this is not cope, I promise you. I'm okay. I'm legit okay. Although rewatching the footage back, like I actually I could see my own disappointment on my face. But hey, failure, it that just goes to show, right? Like no matter how much failure you experience, shit still sucks. I can say confidently, I've probably failed at more things, or probably like 3 times more than the amount of times the average person has tried anything out of their comfort zone. Oh, the bitter taste of failure is constantly, constantly, constantly in my mouth, always. It used to haunt me, but I'm used to it now, and I quite like it actually. Just the other day, I always speak on this channel how I'm a AI researcher, and I took a lot of effort and a lot of grinding, almost 4 years of coding foundation and another 2 years of grinding AI specific stuff, publishing papers, and finally, I got a real job doing work that I love, research that I love. And just the other day, I submitted a research proposal and it got flat out rejected. Right? I applied for funding and it got flat out rejected. No reason, no explanation. Just your proposal fucking sucks. Fuck you. Okay, dude. Okay. Yeah. But this type of failure is needed, and if you aren't experiencing enough failure, like this level of it, maybe not my level of failure, but if you're not experiencing a constant amount of failure in your life, like you're probably doing something wrong. I'm not gonna lie, you're probably not trying enough things. You're probably not stepping out of your comfort zone enough. This is the way to grow, Jenny. Failure is one of the best ways to grow. I've never all the times that I failed, like I learned probably 10 times, 100 times more than the times where I've won. Okay, going back. The average Singaporean will probably like never experience this level of freedom and detachment from outcomes and results for two reasons. Number one is they are still prestige whores, and number two is that they haven't stepped out of their comfort zone enough to even experience true, cold, bitter failure. Perhaps due to a paralyzing fear of judgment or lack of deeper purpose slash conviction. If you feel called out by whatever I've just said, you need to do something about it. And since you're watching this, let me be the first to help, right? By watching this video and listening to me, you're supporting me actually and putting some amount of your faith behind me, be it knowingly or unknowingly. And so I'd like to return the favor lah. You, the viewer, a die-hard fan of Super Autopass 21927, the niche's SG exams micro-influencer of all time. I want to put my faith behind you, okay? So obviously this interaction is one way as hell, so it's kind of blind faith, but if you want to share your ambitions and passions with me, you can also feel free to drop me a message in the description or comments. But I just want to tell you, I have faith that you watching this can take action and completely detach yourself from the results, even when we live in a society where results matter so much. I have faith that you can develop your own that you can develop your own faith and trust in yourself, accepting yourself along with all your vulnerabilities and weaknesses. Your vulnerabilities and weaknesses are your weapon. Not using the forbidden pre-workout of that baddie 10 out of 10 ABG that you fumbled 2 years ago. Though if you're like a true Super Autopass farmer fan, you probably don't talk to any 10s like me. Okay. Fuck, that's about it. Here comes my college admissions plug. If you guys are, have any inquiries about, USA college admissions, SG college admissions, how to make the best out of your life in JC, how to navigate JC, research, activities, grades, anything, legit anything, feel free to contact me in the description below. And thanks for listening. I truly appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys next week. Bye bye.